platform guests, parents, staff, delegates, and of course, graduates. I looked at the program that you each have, and it showed a picture of Columbia's graduation in 1981. And it says 1981 to 2016. But there was one graduation before 1981. When I first started at Columbia in 1980, we did have a graduation. And I was reflecting back on the graduation of 1980, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I know there's a graduate here in the audience from 1980. I'll let you guess who that might be. But he reminded me today that when we started, the graduation in 1980, there were 60 students at Columbia International College. Today, there are 1,700 or more than 1,700. In 1980, I believe we had about 10 staff members, including Mr. Chan and myself. Today, we have close to 500 staff members. So there have been many, many changes at Columbia International College in the past 37 years. So this led me to reflect on total care. How did our total care education system develop? Graduates, today, you are seeing the end result of our total care education system. It's brought you to this point. From the time when you first came to Columbia and met with our student development staff who led you through the orientation process, to our guidance counselors, to teachers, resident staff, and all the support staff, and our university placement staff, you finally got to this point where you're about to go off to university. Our total care education system evolved over the past 37 years. And I'm going to reflect back on some stories I remember. Our first students, back in 1979, 1980, there were no residences back then. We did not have a residence. So students lived in apartments. They rented their own apartments. Total care began at that time because many of these students did not really have the skills to cook for themselves or to keep their apartments clean. And so we would go and visit them in their apartments just to make sure that they were eating well, that they were keeping their apartments clean, that they had a good environment to live and study in. Back in those days, we did not have food services. And I remember at the first campus at Mohawk and West 16th, some of you from Hamilton might remember that as the old Mohawk Trail School. And that's where we had 10 of us, 10 staff members and 60 students. And I remember at lunchtime going with the student council executive to the corner of Garth and Mohawk. There was a little deli there. And we would buy sandwich meats, lunch meats, and we would buy buns and take them back to the school, which was very close. And the student council would prepare sandwiches for the students because many of them did not make lunches to bring to school. So that was, again, one of the first parts of total care, making sure they ate properly. We would meet as a staff, the 10 of us, every Friday after school. We would either go to someone's home, either someone's apartment, or we would go to a restaurant and sit down and discuss the entire week and every student's needs and who needed extra support, who needed academic support, who might need some social emotional support, who might be sick and might need to see a doctor. And that was, again, the start of total care. Today, total care has evolved to a very sophisticated system where we meet the needs of every student academically, socially, emotionally, and physically. Graduates, total care brought you to this point safely, in good health, and successfully. I looked at the results last night, and 2 out of every 3 graduates in this hall are Ontario Scholars, which means they have an average of 80% or better. So congratulations, graduates. Graduates, Total Care has brought you to this point. You are about to depart for university. So what can you take away from our Total Care education system? We have taught you to be responsible for yourselves. We've taught you to make good decisions. We've taught you to be aware of your strengths and your needs. We've taught you to be good advocates for yourself, to seek help when you need it, and to make good decisions, as I said. When you get to university, I want you to remember these 3 points. When you came to CIC, you had an orientation from student development. When you get to university, it's very important that you attend your orientation because there's a lot of good information and help that's available through the orientation process. When you get to university, develop your own circle of care. While you were at CIC, without knowing it, you had a circle of care, 6 adults that surrounded you each and every day. 4 teachers, your student development staff, and your residence house parent. Those 6 people were monitoring you carefully every single day and formed what we call the circle of care within our Total Care system. And they were always there to help. When you get to university, you will have to develop your own circle of care and your own network. I would suggest every university in this room has an international student services department. Get to know the people, or at least one person in the international student services department. Get to know one person in the wellness center at the university. Get to know your teaching assistants. These people can provide academic, social, emotional, and physical support when you need it. So grads, when you get to university, I want you to remember the lessons of Total Care. Develop your own circle of care, and I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Thank you.